reckless and putting lives at risk. That's how the end of early bowel cancer screening for Māori and Pasifika has been described. In 2022, Labour announced $36 million to lower the screening age to 50 for Māori and Pasifika, launching 3 pilot programs. A nationwide rollout was meant to follow, but that didn't happen, with 1 pilot now complete and the other 2 ending next year. It comes as the Prime Minister refuses to say whether National's election promise to lower the screening age across the board would happen this term. Peter Huskinson from Bowel Cancer New Zealand joins me now. Morena, Peter.
Morena.
Welcome into the studio. Lisa Maxwell, bowel cancer patient, told One News last night that the government's decision is reckless. Do you agree?
Well, what is clear and certain from the evidence is that this will mean 44 more Kiwis die every year, Māori and Pacific Kiwis, but 44 people dying every year if this program is not rolled out nationally. So when it was launched, the government was really clear this will save 44 lives every year. And so if that's not happening, those premature deaths and avoidable deaths are just going to mount up very quickly.
So if we take a step back then, why were these programs rolled out?
Well, I think many people would know that Māori and Pacific life expectancy is 6 years lower than other New Zealanders. And cancer is obviously the number 1 cause of death. Bowel cancer is the 2nd deadliest cancer, so you can see the connection. What might surprise viewers is that, adjusting for age, Māori and Pacific are actually less likely to get bowel cancer than other people. But here's the thing. When Māori and Pacific do get bowel cancer, they typically get it at a much more advanced age, and so they're much more likely to die of it. So Māori are 46% more likely to die if they get bowel cancer. Pasifika are 60% more likely to die than other people if they get the disease. And it's for that reason, really, that the government was looking at and the health system working hard to say, what can we do that will actually close that survival gap? And the key here is that Māori and Pasifika actually develop their cancer 10 years earlier. So if you want to give someone an equal chance of beating bowel cancer, you have to screen Māori and Pacific 10 years earlier.
So we know that there were 3 programs, and there's some discrepancy about whether they were programs that were rolled out to have kits available to people, or testing available to people between the ages of 50 and 60.
Yeah.
Māori and Pasifika. But there's some discrepancy about whether it was a pilot or a program.
Yeah.
Which was the understanding from Bowel Cancer New Zealand?
Well, I guess we love to keep the receipts when the government makes commitments to reduce bowel cancer deaths. And the announcement was really clear. It was a national rollout. The funding was 38 million over 4 years, enough to screen, 60,000 people, which is pretty much, the number you'd need to cover everyone in that age group across the country. So this was always intended to be a rapid rollout. Now, there's no problem with starting in some areas and taking some learning as you go. But essentially, a learning rollout is very different from we tend to use pilot for things that are unproven. This is a completely proven program. And frankly, it's not that different. Sending a kit out to someone who is married, who's 61, and sending a kit out to someone who's married, who's 59, is not qualitatively different. So it's always good to learn. But the point is to learn as you go and to get that rollout quickly, because remember, it's only when you get the rollout done that we save those 44 lives every year.
We know that there's the 3 programs. Waikato finished that 2 years, and there are 2 more that are still going, expected to come to end. Well, they will come to an end at the end of next year. Now, One News spoke to the Health Minister last night about that Waikato program coming to an end, and this is what he had to say.
That's why we did the pilots, first of all, to see how we can do better, and I think we should wait to take that evidence on board so we can do better.
But while you wait, some people's lives will be put at risk.
Look, that's an argument we could have for any of the screening protocols. At the end of the day, when we take that next step, we want to point it in exactly the right place, and that's why we've done the pilots.
Response to the Minister?
Well, it's welcome he's talking about taking the next step. I guess, though, the thing that's hard to understand is why you would stop something is saving lives while you look at the evidence. It's really fine to learn as you go and tailor and tweak and make it as effective as possible. But there's no reason for the Māori who are just turning 50 now to suddenly not be able to get that protection.
In terms of the government, do you believe that they're still committed to this? And I want to go back to the Prime Minister. Christopher Luxon said during a pre-election debate that National would drop the age of free screening. to 50 and that it would be a priority for his health minister.
Yes, indeed.
Do you think that this government is committed to this?
Yes, I mean, I remember those words. He actually said that on day one, he'd be instructing Dr. Retty to go and work with the Treasury and with the Ministry of Health to get the business case together for this. We did meet with Dr. Retty earlier this year with our concern that the rollout of the Māori and Pacific screening programme had stalled and wasn't moving at the pace we'd hope. And he did reiterate to us that he remains committed to achieving that commitment. I think what the Prime Minister has said is he can't commit to it. And I guess I would just see that as, you know, if that's an opportunity to work with the government to say, we'd love to get you to the point where you know that you can commit to it because it's feasible, it's affordable, because the number of lives we'd save from that wider rollout is colossal. So just to put it in context, if we had Australia's rates of early detection and treatment for bowel cancer, 400 Kiwis every year would still be alive who die from bowel cancer every year. So over the course of a parliament, 1,200 people whose lives would be saved. So the prize is enormous, and we just love to, and we have actually reached out to the ministers, the health minister's office to say it'd be great to get together again and maybe share some of the learning and the insights that we've got from around the world about how this can be done operationally and feasibly.
Peter Huskinson from Bowel Cancer New Zealand, thank you so much for the work that you do.
Pleasure.
And I'm just, and I'm emotional at this point because I lost my brother at 56.
Yeah.
And also, Daniel, you lost your brother at 46 as well. So, you know, we are in those stats, Māori and Pasifika.
Yeah.
Thank you for the work that you do too. Thanks, Peter.
I just have a question, just one quick question. Is the uptake quite high in terms of this pilot, but also Pacific and Māori people coming to take up the screening? I mean, what is the uptake in terms of numbers?
The uptake in terms of numbers, I think the National Screening Unit said that it was what they would expect, and what they do expect, and this is true internationally, is that the younger people there's slightly less uptake because we all tend to be slightly less focused on health issues. We get a bit more focused as we get older. So that's true.
That would be my question, is that you can have a pilot, you can have the evidence, you can have the numbers, but if you don't have the numbers walking through the door to take this up, what's the point?
I would also add in there too about what was the communication like when the rollouts happened.
Yeah.
Was that good enough to be, for whānau?
Yeah, well, I think something that is happening in 3 districts out of 20 in the country is always going to have a lot less high profile than something that's nationally launched. So if you think about the national campaigns, and certainly Bowel Cancer New Zealand does a lot in terms of awareness, we're really keen to see people always take, when that envelope drops through your door, it could save your life. So do act on it. This is a really, it's a free, easy, simple test you can do at home. You'll get some results, within a few days. And for the vast majority of people, that will reassure you that you've got almost no risk of cancer.
Tairāwhiti and MidCentral, those programs are still rolling at the moment.